Very good morning, aspirants. Welcome to Shankar IAS Academy's Civilspedia. In this video of the Daily Current Affairs analysis dated 19th and 20th of May 2025, we are going to discuss about or get to know about the topics of the Financial Action Task Force, that is FATF, and the forest analysis, which was recently in news because of the recent Supreme Court verdict about the reserve forest, and ISRO's PSLV C61 mission, and Earth orbiting or Earth observation satellite 09, and a comprehensive analysis on caste census and copyrights issues and the issues with the generative AI. In the topic of Financial Action Task Force, that is FATF, we are going to know about that recently India and its dignitaries or members authorities are going to submit or provide evidence to the Financial Action Task Force about the new evidence of the terrorist bases which is presently in Pakistan, which were being destroyed by the Indian armed forces during the Operation Sindoor that is taken after the Pahalgam terrorist attack. And what is FATF, that is Financial Action Task Force? It is an organization, international organization founded or established in 1989 by the G7 countries, which has headquarters in Paris. The Financial Action Task Force has its secretariat under OECD, which is the host organization of Financial Action Task Force, and it has currently 39 members. India is a member since 2010, which got its observer status in 2006. And the main purpose or the main significance for the establishment of the Financial Action Task Force is to take action against money laundering, that is anti-money laundering or the countering terrorist financing. The functions of the Financial Action Task Force is that it convenes triennial, that is 3 times a year, and it issues 40 recommendations. The recommendations submitted by the Financial Action Task Force is called as Mutual Evaluation Report. That is the evaluation of countries which are under monitoring for the terrorist financing activities or countering the terrorist financial activities, the action taken by the countries which are under surveillance or under monitoring, and it uses tools like Greylist and Blacklist for listing countries which are under surveillance. The Greylist consists of the countries which are in compliance with the recommendations provided by the FATF, but it needs to take actions further to counter the terrorist financing and anti-money laundering activities, which directs the amount or support indirectly to the terrorist activities. And the blacklisting countries or the blacklist tool is of the countries which are blacklisted by the FATF, which is not cooperative in nature and provide constant support or violating the recommendations provided by the FATF, which is considered to be a high risk factor for terrorist financing. And what are all the impacts that the tool provided was that it limits the loan availing facility of the countries which are under the grey list or blacklist. Currently 3 countries are under the blacklist. If you know the countries which are under blacklist, please comment in the comment section. And it also make investment cloud around the countries vague and uncertain. So the countries under this blacklisting or grey listing of FATF is under surveillance or get only limited investment. From the context of India, the Pakistan and FATF has a close relationship because it get grey listed in the year of 2008, 2012 to 15 and from 2018 to 22, and it got removed in the year of 2022, and India is trying to move against Pakistan on the recent issue of the Pahalgam terrorist attack. And what are all the pending issues behind before Pakistan is that of that it needs to take actions on UN designated terror list, and it needs to work with the Asia Pacific Group, which is a regional organization of Financial Action Task Force. Let's move on to the prelims practice question. Which organization hosts the Financial Action Task Force Secretariat? As we know from the earlier slide that the Financial Action Task Force is a part of, or the host organization of the Financial Action Task Force is the OECD. Its secretariat belongs to the OECD, which is presently at Paris. So the answer is C, OECD. In this topic of forest or reserve forest, it is in news because the Supreme Court recently opened or provided a judgment regarding the reserve forest, that it declared the allotment and sale of reserve forest land as illegal. It directed all state secretaries and administrators of union territories to form a special investigation team to examine the illegal allotment of reserve forest or reserve land as forest, which comes presently under the revenue department of the state. And they directed the secretaries and the administrators to reclaim the forest land which is in illegal possession and hand it over to the forest departments. And it also directed or pushed the state secretaries or administrators to complete this process of reclaiming the forest land which is in illegal possession within a span of 1 year. And if the land has been in use for potential other activities, or it may cause great damage to the public, the Supreme Court directed the states or administrators to reclaim the amount from the perpetrators and use that amount which has been reclaimed from the usage of the land for afforestation purpose. We have to know what are all the constitutional provisions for the provision safeguarding environment. First, the Article 48A of the Indian Constitution state that it has to protect and improve the environment and safeguard forest and wildlife, which was introduced into the Constitution by the amendment of 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. This 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976 has introduced also the Article 51 of subsection or subclass G into the Constitution, which implies the duty of every citizen to protect and improve the natural environment, and which also introduced an amendment in the list of the Constitution in the state list. In the 7th schedule, it introduced that it moved the forest or environment related provisions from the state list to concurrent list. And what are all the important forest laws under the Indian legal system is that the first one is that Indian Forest Act of 1927, which defines the reserved forest and protected forest and village forest. As we know that reserve forests are typically closed, and any provisions in that forest or activities in this reserve forest are prohibited, which is somewhat relaxed in the protected forest. And village forest is a general category which comes under the village or human activities. And the second thing is that Forest Conservation Act of 1980s. This law has the provision of central's approval for any non-forest use in the forest area. And the foremost an important law in this Indian legal system for the safeguarding of forest and environment is that Environment Protection Act of 1986. It is an umbrella legislation which is a blanket act for safeguarding environment in the Indian legal system. And according to the Indian State of Forest report, forest types can be classified into very dense forest, which is more than 70% of canopy cover, and moderately dense forest has 40 to 70% of canopy cover, and open forest can be classified as 10 to 40% of canopy cover, and scrub forest can be classified as less than 10% of the canopy cover. And overall, the Indian State of Forest report has the data of 2023 stated that India has around 24.39% of geographical area comes under forest and tree cover. And we have to know about what are all the key institutions and schemes which safeguards the environment or protected forest. Or the foremost agency, which is the nodal agency for the safeguarding of our environment, is that the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, which is the nodal ministry, and the Forest Survey of India, which eventually publishes the Indian State of Forest report. The Indian State of Forest report, which was published biennially. And the other institution which was come into prominence is that the National Green Tribunal, which is a statutory quasi-judicial body for addressing the environmental disputes. And the another major fund or schemes involved in that is that CAMPA fund or CAMPA, which is compensatory affirmation fund for fund management and public activity, which is a fund for doing afforestation activities. And the other major activity which was taken for the safeguarding of the environment or forest cover is that the Green India Mission or the mission National Mission for Green India, which is a part of National Action Plan for Climate Change. And establishment of eco-sensitive zones in the National Reserve Forest or protected forest area acts as a buffer zone for safeguarding activities in the forest. And joint forest management, which involves the activities of or the cooperation of local community in the participation of forest management. Let's move on to the prelims practice question. First, consider the following statement about reserve forest. First statement, notified under the Indian Forest Act of 1927. Second statement, grazing and other activities are allowed without restriction. And the third statement, most restricted category of forest. As we know that the grazing and other activities are allowed without restriction in the reserve forest is a wrong statement, because reserve forest is a closed and no activity has been permitted in that reserve forest. So second statement may be incorrect. So the answer, by eliminating the second statement, we can arrive at the answer 1 and 3. C is the correct answer. Moving on to the next topic is the ISRO's PSLV C61 mission. This mission is a failed mission due to some technical glitch in the third stage of the establishment of Earth Orbiting Observation Satellite 09 in the orbit. What is PSLV C61 mission is of? It is launched in 2025 by ISRO, and the objective of the PSLV C61 is to place the Earth Observation Satellite 09 into the sun synchronized polar orbit above Earth's atmosphere. The purpose of this mission is to establish the Earth Observation Satellite in the orbit for civilian and military surveillance purpose. As the Earth Observation Satellite 09 is of high value, and it contains of many features, advanced features which may use for civilian as well as military purpose. The result of this mission is a fail due to some technical glitch in the third stage, which was found after the launch of this mission. And what is Earth Observation Satellite 09 is of is that it is equipped with synthetic aperture radar, which is of high resolution imaging, and it can be used in all weather conditions, which may be in use of day and night. And it uses the C band wavelength for data transmission, which is used in real time data transmission. And this synthetic aperture radar is very peculiar because which can be used in extreme weather conditions in the desired location, and we can easily survive the desired location or the present location which is the satellite is present over the area through this synthetic aperture radar. And the application of this Earth Observation Satellite 09 is that it can be used for land mapping and usage in hydrology, and used to deter the occurrence of disaster as well as the after disaster recovery. And it can be used for military purpose, like it can be used in the surveillance, and we can derive the data as images from the for use in tactical purpose, and we can easily survive and actively engage with the border activities in the border areas. And what is the strategic importance of this Earth Observation Satellite 09 is that, or the mission is that, to fast pace the space-based surveillance system of ISRO, and to launch 52 surveillance satellites, which is an underlying factor of space-based surveillance system 3 of Indian Satellite and Research Organization. And the 31 satellites of this 52 surveillance system is built by private sector, which is under briefing. And this system of space-based surveillance is a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat in space. From the recently concluded Operation Sindoor, it is evident that there is a significant defense gap between the Indian defense system and the space surveillance. As India is highly rely on foreign commercial satellite imagery systems, and from the external source, it makes significance to know that we have to provide our whole attention to the proper establishment of a defense production infrastructure and indigenous space capabilities for providing research and development in specifically to space surveillance and other space activities. What are all the challenges or bottlenecks in the mission is that ISRO is currently rely on PSLV, that is the working horse of this ISRO, which is not guaranteed, and it needs to be more improvised, and a better version of the PSLV is the need of the hour. And the crowded launch schedules of this PSLV will also be a factor for this highly reliable factor. And the manufacturing infrastructure for the space and other production in the Indian environment, which also possess a potential challenge for the Indian environment for space research. And the competing priorities between Gaganyaan and research and development in other space sectors, and the data production from the existing satellite systems is also possess a bottleneck for the mission. Moving on to the prelims practice question. Earth Observation Satellite 09, which was to be launched by the PSLV C61 mission, had which of the following features? The first feature is that synthetic aperture radar, that is SAR. Second is it is equipped with the C-band data link, and the third statement is capable of high resolution imaging in all weather conditions, and the fourth one is designed only for navigation and telecommunication. Select the correct answer using the code given below. As we know from the earlier slide that it has the feature of synthetic aperture radar, which can be used both for civilian as well as military purpose, which is highly useful in day and night, and equipped with C-band data link, which can be used in real-time communication, and it is capable of high resolution imaging in all weather conditions, and it is not designed only for navigation and telecommunication, it is also for civilian as well as military purpose. So eliminating the four from the list, we can arrive at the answer is A, 1, 2 and 3 only. Moving on to the next topic is the caste census. The caste census came into prominence because India is going to induct or include caste details or caste enumeration details in the upcoming national census, which marks a significant shift in the policy, which aims to gather socio-economic data to inform affirmative actions in the policy. What are all the key details that we have to know about the caste census is that the comprehensive caste census was taken in the year of 1931, which is pre-independence, and in the post-independence only the caste census of scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes has been collected and included in the caste census and the census. And recently, the Bihar government has conducted the state-level caste census, which they contemplate it for the provision that they may provide for the marginalized sections in the society, and they make it as the exemplary example for other states. And there is an existing preoccupation presumptions in the mind of people that some may support this caste census as it empowers people and it also acts as a tool for the empowerment of social justice, but some may feel that it may cause deep divisions into the society and it may also cause a division in the society in the name of polarizing people. And we have to know about what is census and the census in India data. The first synchronized data was taken in the year of 1881. From then onwards, the census is taken in India decennially, that is once in 10 years. In the post-independence, only the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes data has been included in the census and not the OBCs. In India, the census is governed by the Census Act of 1948, which comes under the Schedule 7 of Indian Constitution under Union List. Before we are going to know about the census of caste census, we have to know what is caste system and what are all the significance of this caste census from the historical point of view. Moving on to the historical analysis of this caste census, from the history, this caste system is evolved from the earlier practiced Varna system, which is of duty based or occupational based by the peoples of the society. In India, this Varna system has been evolved into hereditary system or hereditary caste system called Jati system. Earlier, the Bhakti movement and the Buddhist movement in the India challenged this caste system, which creates inequality between the people and creates a deepening divide between the Indian people. Later, after the invasion of the British people into India, they came with the codification of the Indian people called British codification, which consolidated and make the caste system more rigid in the Indian society. In the post-independence era, the introduction of Mandal Commission in the year 1979, which provides its report in the year 1980, estimated the population of OBCs in the then Indian population is around 52%. The another significance of this Mandal Commission is that is the second backward commission established in the Indian government. And the other most significant event in the Indian caste system is that the introduction of first constitutional amendment through the famous case called Champakam Dorairajan case. In this case, the Supreme Court struck down the introduction of caste-based reservation in the educational institutions. Generally, we have to know what are all the challenges that the caste census possesses, or the census accumulating or consolidating the census data. Or the first one is that the data accuracy. Due to the complex structure in India and the diversified culture and people in the society, makes the collection of data more complex, and the subsystem of caste contains numerous subcastes and numerous divisions, which possess a great challenge to the collection of data. And there is also an environment of polarization and prevail in the society when the caste census data is being released. And the another most important hurdle faced by the administration side is that the standardization issues, because some castes are more marginalized than the other. So categorizing them and standardizing them based on their backwardness, and the segregation of the caste based on their backwardness is also poses a great challenge to the caste census collection. And the other most constraint in the legal system of this caste census is that the Supreme Court's provision for the reservation, which does not exceed, which should not exceed the cap of 50%. What are all the potential impacts, either positive or negative, by the caste census is that it may be used for the better policy in formulation or the implementation of the targeted welfare schemes, or provision of establishment of a targeted welfare scheme for the marginalized people. And we can arrive at the improved reservation policy based on the actual data that we have taken in the present era. As it has the positive impact on the marginalized society or the marginalized people, it can also has the potential to reinforce or consolidate the caste division between people. And we have to know what are all the constitutional and legal provisions involved in this caste census. The Constitution of India provided Article 15 subclass 4, which provides for the state to implement a special provision for the empowerment of socially or socially or educationally backward classes. And the famous Indira Sawhney case of 1992, in which the Supreme Court upheld the 27% reservation, which was earlier implemented through the Mandal Commission report for the OBC, as constitutionally valid. And it also introduced a new provision called creamy layer in the OBC reservation. And the recent introduction of the 105th Constitutional Amendment Act in 2021, which introduced the clause called the state can identify the other backward classes in their respective states. Moving on to the way forward, what are all the way forward that we can take to ensure the caste census a more progressive tool for the betterment of the nation is that the introduction of transparent methodology for collecting the data from the people and awareing them about the potential implications or the progress that we can do with the data is more useful for the empowerment of the society. And the action need to be taken to safeguard against the data which was collected from the people from misusing them for other wrongdoing activities, and creating public awareness campaigns to reduce fear and suspicion among the people by which can be used for the easy collection of data. Today's mains practice question for this caste census is that critically examine whether a caste census, while addressing historical injustices, could paradoxically entrench caste identities in a modern democratic state. Coming to the next topic is the copyright and the issues with the generative artificial intelligence. It is in news because the rise of generative artificial intelligence models like ChatGPT and OpenAI raised concerns in the India over the use of copyrighted content by the other authors or the other copyright holders. The current challenges with the use of the generative artificial intelligence is that the large learning models used by this generative artificial intelligence, which is used to train the artificial intelligence models using this large learning models from the internet data sets, which includes the copyrighted work of others. This elevated the shift of copyrighted content from the copying to the usage in the training for artificial intelligence. It also creates a cloud of ambiguity over the legal framework for the usage of copyrighted content, and it acts as the infringement of the copyrighted content. Currently, what are all the disputes that are prevailing or pending between India and the artificial intelligence is that a lawsuit has been made by the publishers like Federation of Indian Publishers and ANI like organizations, and they were alleged that the artificial intelligence used by this generative AI has been using their copyrighted content for their large learning method for as copyright infringement. As there was no established clear law in the Indian penal environment or the legal system for the fair use of the copyrighted content, and there is no legal precedent prevailing between the introduction of artificial intelligence training, and there is a fear of revenue loss or the control over the artificial intelligence ecosystem from the copyrighted content. And what are all the key concerns or the important concerns and dilemmas involved in the usage of artificial intelligence with respect to the copyrighted content, or some make it as an innovation from the copyrighted content? There is a situation of tug of war between the innovated content through artificial intelligence versus the copyright content as their infringement. There is a concern over authors' right over their information or knowledge that they have copyrighted versus their economic interest over their content, which may be in the open source while using the artificial intelligence, that is generative artificial intelligence. And there is a risk or the potential of monopoly by the dominant characteristics possessed by the artificial intelligence or the machine learning. And what are all the way forward that we can provide to keep a balance between the copyrighted content and the generative artificial intelligence is that we can ensure to provide a level playing field for both of them to compete in the progressive environment, and we have to revise and update the copyright laws with respect to the evolving AI era, and the proper introduction of licensing system and monitoring the platforms for their effective progression, and also keeping in view with the revenue sharing models are also the potential for the improvement, will provide improvement in the both the sectors of copyrighted content by the authors and the generative AI. And we have to ensure the transparency in AI database for the large learning models, and also to empower or uplift the judicial adaptations to the technical world of AI era to with respect to the copyright content and the other infringement of copyrighted areas. Mains practice question for this generative AI and copyright issues that discuss the challenges that generative AI possesses to copyright law in India. How can legal frameworks evolve to balance innovation with the protection of intellectual property right? Hope you guys like the video. Please subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy's YouTube channel for more such content. Please give us a like, which is a constant motivation, and comment your positive suggestions in the comment section, and please share the video to your friends. Thank you.